Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to have a look at another collaboration beer. So this one is half Australian on the home side, half Swedish on the away side, and both of the breweries involved in this one have featured on the channel a number of times before. Now, if people were to ask me about both of these breweries, I would say that they're best known for their different kinds of New England hazy, whatever you want to call them, IPAs, but they're also really well known for their different kinds of modern, fruited, smoothie, Nordic, whatever we're going to call them, sour beers. Now, when it comes to the Australian brewery, they are a little bit newer to me because I only really discovered them when I moved over here to Hong Kong in October of 2023, but the Swedish brewery is one that I've known for a good few years, even back when they had a different name. But both very, very capable breweries, and when I saw that they'd done this collaboration together, I was really quite excited about it. So the beer itself is a style that I know both breweries can do very, very well, one that I've had from them many times before. It's a style that I do really enjoy myself, and it's one that is gaining a little bit in popularity in recent times, I have to say. So needless to say, I'm very, very curious to see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for the home side of things then, like I said, we are going to head down to Australia. We're going to go to the state of New South Wales, to the city of Sydney, and to be specific, the district of Botany, and that means that we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Drop Brewing Company. So this particular beer is called Golden Egg. It comes in at 5.1% ABV. It's a smoothie sour, quintuple fruited I should add as well, with banana, mango, strawberry, boysenberry and guava, and it's brewed in collaboration with the wonderful Duckpond Brewing, who come from Gothenburg, Göteborg, the Swedish craft beer capital up there on the west coast, as I always used to say. And yeah, one of my favourite Swedish breweries, of course. So yeah, this should be a really, really good beer. Like I say, I was very excited when I saw this one. But this is yet another beer that I picked up from the wonderful Gur Beer in the One Mall in Tsim Sha Tsui here in Kowloon in Hong Kong. And yeah, they've always got a great selection of stuff from across the world. So I'll try to remember to put their Facebook link and Instagram link in the video description for you below. And if you do find yourself here in Hong Kong, I'd highly recommend that you pay them a visit. Really nice people behind the shop, and they've always got a really good selection of stuff as well. But yeah, let's crack on then and see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Really excited about this one. So, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries involved here before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done, both from Drop Brewing and from Duckpond Brewing, and we'll see about adding to those lists both at some point in the fairly near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated. And remember, you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in both the Australian playlist and the Swedish playlist, since this beer is dual nationality. And do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because there are some very, very interesting things on the channel these days. But yeah, let's crack on then and go on to my brewery notes, and I'll tell you a wee bit about the breweries. We'll start off with Drop Brewing, since they are the home brewery in this case. So yeah, Drop Brewing, as I mentioned to you already, are based in the Botany area of Sydney, very close to the airport, and this company was founded back in mid-2016. But they opened their doors a few years later in 2019, and the four people behind this company are Clay Grant, Meg Barbitz, Nick Calder-Scholes, and also Liam Quinn. So Clay has a background in food catering, and he shared the idea with Meg, his wife, that he wanted to start a brewery, and she was very supportive of this. She had previously worked with tech startups, and she liked the idea of them having their own startup company together. But Nick is originally from New Zealand, and he was the original head brewer at Garden Brewery in Zagreb, which was actually where he met Meg and Clay, who were on holiday visiting Meg's family. And Liam, on the other hand, is Nick's best friend and was in the army, but also had a lot of experience in the hospitality sector. But Clay and Meg founded the company officially in mid-2016 when they designed the brand and started planning the company, and they actually sold their house to fund the company, but also decided to go on a visit to Croatia to see Meg's family, and of course that was where they met Nick, who would join the venture a little bit later in 2018. But the idea behind the name One Drop is that a single idea or action can change the course of everything, and that's what they say happened to them when they thought of starting up the brewery, and then they went to Croatia and met Nick. But the brewery itself is located in an old paper mill, and they source their brewing equipment from the Canadian company DME. This includes a 12 hectolitre brew kit, so 1200 litres per brew, and 6 24 hectolitre fermentation vessels. But I understand they have upscaled that quite considerably since those early days, and they've also got a canning line from East Coast Canning over in the US. But over the years, they've continued to develop new recipes. They've built up a very, very good reputation for themselves, and these guys are undoubtedly best known for their New England Hazy IPAs and their kind of fruited smoothie sours, whatever we're going to call them, as I mentioned earlier. But as of August 2024, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced about 415 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and that number will no doubt continue to increase as time goes on. But yeah, that is everything I can tell you about One Drop Brewing Company for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can of course check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on to the Swedish side of things then, and Duckpond Brewing. So, Duckpond Brewing were originally known as Mikrofonbryggeriet, the microphone brewery, if you want to translate that to English. And this company is the brainchild of Nikola Sarcevic, who is a singer and songwriter for the band Millencolin, who have been making music since 1993. So the band was originally based in Örebro, which is out to the west of Stockholm, but they took a break, and at this point Nikola moved over to Gothenburg, Göteborg on the Swedish west coast. So in 2013 he began homebrewing with his friend Christian Silva while he was studying marketing in Skövde, and the two were just making very small 20 litre batches at a time. And then Nikola went down to Berlin in Germany for a 2-week brewing course, and when he returned they started the company together officially, and it was based for a while in Nikola's house, and at this point they were brewing larger 200 litre batches. But they started to get their name out there a little bit more to the different craft beer bars and so on, but they changed their name in the summer of 2019 to be a little bit more English friendly, because you know, Mikrofonbryggeriet is a little bit difficult for those who are not familiar with the Swedish language. So they chose Duckpond Brewing for what exact reason I don't know. They felt it was a bit more English friendly though, and they've been continuing to increase their output and their international sales over the last few years. But in 2019 they produced around 70,000 litres, and these guys for a period of time were also one of the owners of the Wizard Brewing band, along with the now defunct Morgendagens. They were a very good brewery as well. It was a bit sad that they went under, but originally they were producing a lot of their beers at Popel's brewery out in Jonsered, and Odd Island Brewing, who are from a little bit south of Gothenburg, but these days they've got their own premises in the Kungston area, and they now have Magnus Laurén as their head brewer, and he's been doing a lot of work to develop new recipes and things like that as well. But like I said, over the years Duckpond Brewing have built up a very, very good reputation for themselves in terms of New England Hazy IPAs and fruited sour beers, and I think they've been trying like a few lagers and other styles as well in recent times, but obviously since I moved away from Sweden I haven't been able to taste those. But yeah, as of August 2024 when I'm filming this review for you, Duckpond Brewing have produced about 90 different beers under that particular brand name, and prior to that I think there was about 25 or 30 were produced under the Mikrofonbryggeriet name. So yeah, about 115 beers out of this brewery in total, something like that. But yeah, one of the Swedish brewers I would highly recommend that you check out. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a wee bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's leave it at that for our brewery history section. You've had a good introduction to both breweries there, I would say. Let's go on and actually focus on the beer itself. So as you can see, this one is, I think this is a 440 milliliter can rather than a 473. It's sweating a little bit because of the heat here in Hong Kong, but yeah, you can see it is quite similar in terms of artwork with when you consider what we've seen from Drop Brewing before. Gold top on the can, which we've seen from Drop Brewing before. There you can see the Drop Brewing Company symbol there, and there is the Duckpond Brewing symbol, of course. There's your golden egg, quintuple fruited sour, and it tells you a wee bit about the beer on the back here. So it says here, harnessing the tropical wonders that Australia has to offer, we combine again through the power of beer and friendship to brew with longtime pals Duckpond from Gothenburg, Sweden. An amplified quintuple fruited smoothie sour with Australian banana, mango, strawberry, boysenberry and guava, alongside both coconut cream and water. Bega lactose melds gorgeously with Tahitian and Madagascan vanilla, providing a balancing smoothness to the stupid amounts of fruit we've gone and added. Brewed with pals Duckpond, beer mash and crafty pint for the latter's Pint of Origin 2024 celebration. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm not sure exactly who Beer Mash and Pint of Origin are. I'm guessing they're maybe local bars, beer bars in the Sydney area, places that I probably need to go and check out. Actually, when I make it back down there, it's been about 10 years since I was in Australia now, so we need to fix that. But yeah, 5.1% quintuple fruited smoothie sour, this one. Banana, mango, strawberry, boysenberry and guava in it, and brewed from two of my favourite smoothie sour beer breweries. So yeah, we'll invert it a little bit. We'll give it a wee roll just to kind of balance it out, because that's what you really should do with these beers. But let's open it up and see what it has in store for us. If I can get my finger under it, there we go. Yeah, this is one that I've been looking forward to since I bought it as well. Oops, it got a little bit excited there. I didn't see that. That's probably because I rolled it. So yeah, but I mean, look at the pour on this thing. Damn. I guess the colour on this one will be down to the boysenberry. We don't want to waste any of this beer, of course. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, just look at that thing. That is pretty awesome. So yeah, you can see this beer is a proper smoothie sour. That's going to take a wee bit of time to clear up, of course, but I'll let you have a wee look at it nonetheless. You can see the head on this one is about a bit more than 2 fingers, and it's a frothy kind of, how would you say, like sunburned skin colour? I don't know, but yeah, the colour of this beer, it's almost like a peach skin if you look at it. It looks really, really cool, this one. I'm not sure how well it's going to show up on the camera, but if I turn the beer around, look at the bubbles on this. That's really pretty cool, I have to say. It's kind of like a snake skin, almost. Yeah, that is pretty awesome. But yeah, you can see the carbonation on this one is very, very slowly moving up through the sludge of the beer there towards it. You can see those bubbles just going very, very slowly. But yeah, I think this one, it's like a dark peach. It's like a dark peach colour, this beer, I have to say. So yeah, it looks really, really nice. So remember, the colour of your beer is dependent on a few things. So 1, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. 2, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker coloured beer. But any barrel aging that you do, or any adjuncts you put into the beer, will affect the colour of it as well, and especially when it comes to the kind of modern fruited sour beers like this, that is going to play a role, of course. And yeah, the colour in this one, out of the fruits involved in this one, I think probably the strawberry and the boysenberry are the ones that are most likely to give this one the particular colour that it has. So yeah, the mango and the banana and things, and the guava probably as well, with those fruits you probably would have more of a kind of blonde yellowy colour sour, very akin to the colour of the can on this one. But yeah, all in all, appearance wise, nothing really surprising about this one when you consider what fruits are in there and what style of beer this one is. I'm just surprised at how well the head is retaining on this one. If we poke it a little bit, yeah, doesn't affect it in the slightest. So yeah, let's leave it at that for the appearance. I don't think there's much else we can really say about this one, to be honest with you. You can see the haze in this beer. It's pretty damn opaque, and that is most likely due to the presence of the fruit puree, of course, that they put into these beers, and also the oats and the wheat. So yeah, let's have a little look at the nose on this one then and see how we go, if we can actually get the nose out of this beer. Yeah. I'm going to say straight away, I think it's because of the head, but the nose on this one is pretty pungent, but I guess it's not as pungent as it would be if it wasn't for that head there. But yeah, aroma-wise, it kind of smells exactly as you would expect. As I've said in many of these smoothie sour reviews before, these beers are often very simple in terms of their flavour profiles and their aroma profiles, but if they're done well, they're just really, really nice beers to drink. And you know, the stuff that I've had from Duckpond and from One Drop certainly have shown me that law holds almost. But yeah, this smells really, really nice. These beers often taste and smell like you know, drinking yogurt, drinking fruit yogurt actually, and I think this beer is going to be no exception to that. So yeah, if you take the aroma of the beer in quite deeply, you can smell a little bit of like a fresh white bready bread crust in there. There's a little bit of woodiness, there's a little bit of cracker in there. So you've got the bread crust, a little bit of woodiness, a little bit of cracker. You've got some brown bread in there, some white bread of course. You can smell a bit of oaty creaminess in there. There is a little touch of the wheaty bitiness as well, but very minimal. For the most part, this beer smells like yogurt. It reminds me of the Munch Bunch yogurts that my mum used to put in my lunchbox when I was a wee boy going to primary school. Petit Filou, Fromage Frais, these Muller corner yogurt things. It really smells very much like that. This beer, of course, has quite a little bit of vanilla in it, but the kind of, I don't know if it's right to say acidity, but the sharpness of the kind of yogurty aromas that you get out of this beer actually stops quite a little bit of that vanilla aroma coming out of this one. You can smell a little bit of it in the top of the nose, and especially mixing in with the woody side of the beer. But yeah, it's quite difficult to detect, in all honesty. Yeah, there's a wee bit of yeastiness at the back of the nose there as well, which is mostly kind of like white bready leaning, or more, it's more of a white bready and crackery yeast that you get out of this one. But one of the other interesting things to think about with this beer is the hoppy side of things too. So as I've mentioned in videos before, when it comes to sour beers, it's always really interesting to ask the brewery what their hopping mentality is. So when it comes to the old school styles of sour beer, such as, you know, the Berliner Weisse and the Gose from Germany, or the Flanders Red Ales, or the Lambics from Belgium, quite often brewers would use older hops that had lost a little bit of their alpha acid potency in these beers because they didn't want the hoppy bitterness to detract from the sour side of the beer. Modern sour beer breweries, there are a number who will add hops into the beer because they feel it gives the beer a little bit more complexity, but there are also a number who brew styles like this who feel you don't need to, because the fruity adjuncts are going to suppress the hoppy character anyway. Both of these breweries, One Drop and Duckpond, I think fall into that category, but you've got breweries in Scotland, for example, like Holy Goat and Vault City, who fall into the other category. They want the complex flavours to come out of the beer from the hops. So yeah, it just depends what you want. But despite the fact that this beer probably doesn't have hops in it, you still get a little bit of that green component placebo out of it. So there is definitely like a wee bit of, there is like a little touch of earthiness in there for sure. And you've got mainly, but the earthiness is very, very subtle, I would say that. But you do have a little bit of grassy character, you've got a little bit of floral character in there. But yeah, it's the sharpness of the fruitiness. The thing that jumps out at me from this beer is guava. Guava for me, for some reason, it's just, whenever there's guava, it's just the first thing that comes out in the nose. So yeah, the guava is really, really pertinent in this beer. It's really noticeable. So you've got that nice guava sharpness in there. Of course, behind that, you have, you can smell, boysenberry is something that I'm not overly familiar with, but from what I remember, it's like somewhere in the middle of like blueberry and blackberry. So there is that kind of blueberry, blackberry sort of note coming out of this one. But the mango is certainly big in there. I don't get too much of the banana, in all honesty. So I get the big juicy mango, I get the guava, I get the boysenberry. Yeah, those are the things that are jumping out of this one at me. I don't get too much coconut out of the aroma of this beer either, which is kind of interesting. What's the other thing that's in here? Strawberry. It's interesting. Do I actually get much of the strawberry? I mean, I guess you can feel a little bit of the juiciness of the strawberry in here. But the thing for me is Scottish strawberries are quite pungent, so the strawberries are going to be different wherever you grow them in the world. But yeah, this one, the Australian strawberries seem that little bit sharper. The Scottish ones are very juicy almost, I guess. I can't remember if we've had beers from One Drop with strawberries in them before, but yeah, aroma wise it is very, very straightforward almost. It kind of gives you what you'd expect if you read the can, but yeah, the aroma is still really quite nice. We'll check that out again as we drink it, because obviously the head I think is inhibiting a wee bit of what's coming out of this beer. But as I always say, take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But yeah, I think it's about time that we have a taste of this one and see what it's all about. Certainly the guava, the mango and the boysenberry are the most prominent things for me. But yeah, this one is the Golden Egg, a 5.1% quintuple fruited smoothie sour beer from One Drop Brewing in Botany, Sydney, New South Wales, in collaboration with Duckpond Brewing from Kungston in Göteborg in Sweden. Let's get stuck into this one. Slanja, skål, cheers. Yeah, well, as you'd expect from both of these breweries, this beer is just really very, very nice. You can see as I pour the last bit of this out, this thing is pretty fresh, incidentally. It's just the very nature of these smoothie sour beers to be as big and sludgy as this. I'm going to need to wipe my table off after filming this review. But yeah, this is another lovely, lovely beer, and I wouldn't expect anything less of either brewery with this one. I will say though that from my memory in Sweden, in Sweden, the sour beer breweries, you've got Fermenterarna and Duckpond, who are from Gothenburg, of course, Göteborg. Morgendagens were the other one. They've gone bust now, unfortunately, in Wizard. But then, yeah, you've got Elm 11 in Malmö, who are very capable in this smoothie sour category. I don't remember the Swedish sour beers ever being quite as thick and sludgy as these ones that I've had from One Drop, in honesty. So, yeah, it's a really the smoothie sour is a really interesting concoction actually. But yeah, once again, both breweries have produced a really, really nice beer here. So let's do as we always do it and just break it down and describe it for you a bit more in depth. But I will say, if you know the fruits in this one and you know the style, there's nothing kind of surprising about this beer. It's just really nicely done, and you can't ask for much more these days. So let's do this. Yeah, it really is just like drinking yogurt, this one, in honesty. I used to drink these, the yogurts that tasted like this, the Arla things, on the train on the way to work in Sweden in the mornings. Yeah, so middle third of your palate then. The backbone of this beer, it's a fresh, you do get a little bit of that fresh white bready bread crust in there, but that's very, very minimal. Further forward you get a little bit of a kind of woody character coming out of this one. There's a wee bit of like Jacob's cream cracker sitting on top of it. Then yeah, you've got a little bit of brown bread and a little bit of white bread, but then above all of those kind of slightly drier layers that you have in the base of the beer, it's about, you start to get the more yogurty, creamy kind of stuff coming out of this one. So yeah, the yogurty, creamy character that you have coming out of this beer is really, really nice. So you can feel that the base of that is a more kind of wheaty, it's a more wheaty, white bready sort of thing. So yeah, there's that sort of wheaty, white bready kind of character forming the base of that, but then above that you start to get the more, you can feel the oats giving you that more kind of creamy character to the beer, and the vanilla, yeah, the vanilla notes are kind of really matched into that. Yeah, the vanilla side of things in this one is really nice. You get more and more of that into the aftertaste. The coconut, you get a little bit of it, especially toward the front of that middle third of your palate, but I really don't find it all that pungent, to be quite honest with you. The coconutty side of this beer is actually pretty subtle, to be honest. Just, yeah, mixes in with the vanilla character. The vanilla sweetness kind of comes out further forward on that middle third of your palate, and it's mixed into that kind of oaty layer, and it's the oats, of course, that give you that more yogurty type vibe out of the beer. But yeah, on top of the oaty side of things, you've got that little circle in the middle third of your palate that's like Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch, and yeah, the way that all of that goes together, I think, is really nice in this one. So yeah, just a little bit of Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch, and a wee touch of biscuit in there, but mostly, yeah, all of that comes across as like a collective yogurty type flavour. So yeah, I think at that point we've covered the middle third of your palate. Let's go to the back third of your palate. As I've often said, sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back, and generally speaking, the back third of your palate, the flavour is going to have similar flavours to the middle third of your palate, just at different intensities. But yeah, the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you've got a little bit of bready build up in there, wee bit of brown bready character. There's a wee bit of the brown bready character in the base and the white bready character above that, then you get the oaty creaminess there. But yeah, the base of the back third of your palate, again, you've got the bread crust, the cracker, wee bit of brown bread, wee bit of white bread, but then the yogurty layer on that back third of your palate is really tall and really quite light and just that little bit drier, and you can feel a wee bit of the more oaty creamy character and a wee bit of the kind of Werther's Original butter candy just creeping over the top there, and then you've got the yeasty side of things sitting on top of that back third of your palate. So let's have a wee look at the yeasty side of the beer then. So yeah, the yeasty side of this beer, for me, it's quite interesting, because at the centre of the yeasty side of things, you've got a kind of sweeter, brown bready, like butter candy-ish yogurty character there. Then it's wrapped in a little bit of a, more, more of a kind of sweet vanilla type yogurty character, and there's maybe just a wee bit of bread crust around the edge of it. So all that yeasty character, sits on top of the back third of your palate there, which I think is really nice. So definitely, yeah, the back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your palate, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, the way that the malty and yeasty side of this beer goes together, I think, is really, really nice. So yeah, I don't know if we really need to say too much more about that malty and yeasty side of the character of the beer. So yeah, let's go to the hoppy side of things. As I said earlier, this beer, I'm pretty sure, does not contain hops. I was quite clear on that. I was pretty sure about that on the aroma. Now that I've tasted the beer, pretty definitely sure. But yeah, you still get a little bit of that placebo there. You can feel the smoothness of the fruits just sitting on the edge of the palate there. But yeah, there's a wee touch of earthiness in there, a little bit of kind of herbal character and woodiness. But as you move further forward along the side of the palate, maybe a little tiny bit of floral character and a wee bit of grassness there. But as I say, all of that is kind of suppressed by the fruity side of the beer. So yeah, the border region between front and middle third of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of a kind of bready character in there. The brown bread's in the base, the white bread's on the top, and then the more yogurty kind of character sitting above that. The base of the front 30 palate, yeah, you've got a little bit of the bread crusty character, a little bit of the cracker, brown bread, the white bread, and then yeah, the smooth yogurty and oaty kind of layer above that. Then it's all about the adjunct fruit in there. So let's have a wee look at that and just see exactly where the fruity flavours are coming out of this one. So yeah, for me, the fruity side of this beer, it's really interesting because I think the banana in this one is very, very subtle. And I have to admit, I don't like banana. I really don't. I've never ever liked banana, but I'm not scared of seeing banana mentioned in a one drop sour. And one of the reasons of that is just, one of my friends here in Hong Kong, Akil, he convinced me, try this one drop sour. It says banana, but you won't really taste it. Just try it. And I did. And yeah, it was very, very subtle. So I mean, maybe it's right to say in this beer that the banana is the thing that's in the very base of the fruity character there, but definitely on the back half of that front third of your tongue, you can feel the guava at the top and the slightly sharp ripeness that it has. Underneath that, you've got the more juicy mango, and as you move further forward into the kind of front half of that front third of your palate, you've got the kind of I think the boysenberry's maybe sitting on top. I'm not overly familiar with boysenberry, I have to admit, but I think the boysenberry is giving you the slightly sharper, juicier flavours, and then the strawberry's just kind of sitting underneath that. But yeah, the way that these flavours kind of go together, I think, is really, really nice. Yeah, I don't know if there's too much else that we can really say about this one. The only other thing I can say is that maybe the mango seems to be the thing, and a little bit of the guava sharpness. These are the things I'm getting along the side of the palate, which are suppressing, obviously, what would be a hoppy green component. But like I say, I'm not convinced there are hops in this beer. I think it's most likely that there's not. But yeah, all in all, I think the fruity side of this one is really, really nice. So that gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, really another very solid smoothie sour, and I'm not surprised because I know both of these breweries quite well. All I can say is if you get the chance to try this, you will enjoy it. So do have a go at it. One of the more unusual colours, I have to say, that I've seen from smoothie sours, but yeah, certainly not out of the question when you consider this beer style. But let's round off this review then with a wee quick look at the mouthfeel. So for me, this beer, I don't know whether to say this is, I think it's maybe bottom end to full bodied, but carbonation is virtually non-existent. As I say, it has that smooth, creamy sort of flavour you expected, like drinking yogurt. It really is like that. I don't know if, I think this happened with Elm 11 and Duckpond, of course, when I certainly tried them, but I think I'm getting used to these one drop sour beers, because this one's quintuple fruited, and I think we've had quadruple fruited, triple fruited and all these kind of things from them before, but I think this is the first quintuple fruited one. I don't find this any thicker than some of the other ones that I've had from them, so I think I'm getting more used to this mouthfeel from one drop, of course, and I'm not as sensitive to it now as I once was. But yeah, it's got that big, thick, creamy note to it. The IBU is probably 0 on this one, maybe 5 at the absolute most. The malt, as I said, a wee bit of dryness underneath, smoothness in the middle, and a big creamy sweetness sitting on top of that. Then you've got those lovely juicy fruity characters coming out of it. But the way everything goes together in this one, I think, is very, very nice. And yeah, I certainly wouldn't hesitate to try this again. I'd be very curious to see what more collaborations with these guys would actually have in store for us. But yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this one. This has been really nice to try them. Definitely cool to see these two breweries collaborating together. But yeah, this one was the Golden Duck 5.1% quintuple fruited smoothie sour with banana, guava, mango, strawberry, boysenberry, coconut, what was it? Coconut butter, coconut vanilla, Tahitian vanilla, Madagascan vanilla, and some coconut cream and water added into it. But yeah, just a really beautiful beer, this one, and I'm glad that I got to try this. Nothing unexpected, but just really nicely done, and you can't ask for much more these days. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below, then what your favourite beers are from Drop Brewing and from Duckpond Brewing as well, and we will see about returning to these guys at some point in the fairly near future. So until the next time, check out my social media, check out the brewery's social media, try some of the beers, and I'll see you guys in another review very, very shortly. Slàinte, skål, and cheers.